Hello and welcome inside the Scores Table. Brian Haenchen here with you. Danny Riego will be along in a bit. We were both just at Cathedral High School where there was a double overtime thriller with the Irish taking down Noblesville 69-68. Hell of a game. We're going to break that down for you. We're also going to be joined later in the show by Northridge coach Doug Springer and junior Lily Scholl. In the meantime, though, we're going to kick things off here while Danny gets back home and I get settled in. Going to kick things off with a conversation from earlier today with Center Grove coach Kevin Stuckmeyer and senior Gracyn Gilliard. All right, Danny, coming to the people from the past. Right now, we are joined by Kevin Stuckmeyer, Gracyn Gilliard of Center Grove. Center Grove, of course, coming off a big 33-30 win over Bloomington South last night. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. How are things over there?
Good.
Yeah, going great.
Let's start with that game last night, and just a war. I think is the best way to describe it. I think that's how Jim Gordillo, our reporter, described it. A hard fought battle. We were talking before we came on. It felt kind of like a regional game. Just Gracyn, talk me through that game last night and what allowed you guys to prevail the way you did.
Yeah, obviously Bloomington South is a very good team. We've been scouting them for a couple weeks now. They execute all their stuff really well. I think overall, our defensive mannerisms and our principles in the second half really carried us to the win.
Kevin, what did you see from your girls just in terms of resiliency and hanging in there? Because it was you get down 9-0 early, you're down by 10 in the first half, and then just in a very Center Grove way, you keep them off the scoreboard and just kind of find a way to grind until the offense gets clicking.
Yeah, every game is different when you play through a season, and as you progress through a season, you got to figure out what type of team you have. And I think early on with Gracyn here, obviously, and some of her teammates, senior teammates, and underclass teammates, they've really shown their grit and their resiliency, as you talked about. And we've had different ways we've had to win games this year. Sometimes we've been up and had to have a good second half to kind of hang on. And like playing Brownsburg and Silver Creek, we had poor third quarters and kind of had to hang on to a lead and even fight back to one. This one was a little bit different because we got down a little bit early on the road in a fun environment. Bloomington South's always been a tough place to play and a tough place to go down and compete. Obviously, they run their stuff so well, and they just make it tough on you. You have to go earn it, and credit our girls. They just keep proving their will to win, I guess. Maybe their hate to lose mentality of just finding a way in whatever way they need to. And obviously, they somehow found a way last night to just get it done in the end. And it's a good test for us as you go through this season. And as you get to the end, we need games like that so that we can go back on those and have that feeling and maybe have that trial run when it's needed.
Just a couple more from me before I throw to Danny, but Haenchen defensively last night was phenomenal. Gracyn, I'll start with you, and both of you just tell me what you saw from that kid last night and what she's meant to this group overall.
Yeah, Hannah's one of my closest friends on the team. We've grown up playing together, and I think that her defense makes me want to play defense. It makes everybody on the team want to sit down and guard. She's an absolute dog on defense, and when she's hyped up, like the team is hyped up, and that type of energy is really important.
And Kevin, what did you see from her?
I just saw what I always see from Haenchen. I've coached her for 4 years. She's what I would call a Center Grove player, what we kind of pride ourselves to be. She's just one in a long line of players we've had and teammates that she has with us that just are the epitome of how you want to play the game, how you want to carry yourself, how you want to be a teammate, and how you're noticed, especially by us in the locker room. That doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. Everything she does shows up big time and is a huge contributor to why we've had success. And that may not go in the newspaper. It is sometimes talked about, but unsung hero, but just the epitome of just the key things and that will to win that we're talking about. She does that each and every day, and it was no different last night.
It seemed like too, Ella Sprong came off the bench, played some big minutes for you guys too, right? Just her too, a kid, it seems like embracing her role and really taking advantage of the opportunities that she's been given.
Yeah, the start of the year, I had tough calls. I have 6 people that should be starting right now, but you can only start 5. So just with the makeup of the team and kind of the flow of it, to be able to bring Ella off the bench and kind of give us a spark with her shooting ability and Same thing. Her mindset and her grit just kind of gives us a good flow there, and she's really bought into that role and understood that that's just part of how it is. It doesn't always matter if you start or who's where, but those top six all contribute, and even the ones that aren't necessarily in that top six for us. It's just a fun group, and Gracyn obviously leads the way, and Hannah and Ella's a part of that as seniors. But they've just developed and continued that culture that they just love to play for each other. And even tonight at practice, you wonder after a game like that, how's it going to be? But you could tell it was business as usual and moving on to the next one. And they had the right mentality and the energy that you need, instead of just that, oh, school just started this week and it's just practice. They didn't have that at all, and that's just a tribute to all three of those and everybody on our team.
Good deal. Congratulations on the win. Happy New Year to you guys both. Good to see you guys. Just Kevin, just real quick before we get into some of the questions that I had written down. What is the coaching tree that you branch from? There's a lot of people. I mean, so Jack, did you play for Jack Edison, coach under him, or would you consider yourself part of the Jack Edison coaching tree and some of those principles that you brought down from Plymouth and Bethel?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my mentor, probably my second dad. After I graduated, I've gone back and eaten dinner at his house many times. His son, Michael Edison, who's at LaVille now, I coached under and have become good friends with. But yeah, Coach Edison is very much a mentor of mine, playing under him for 4 years, and then we're still connected and have been really close. But I'd say most of my principles come from him. Our switching defense, our open, our motion comes from him. Obviously, we've modernized it and tweaked it, and every year it looks a little bit different just because you have to evolve with the game. But beyond him, I coached under Al Rhodes, who you got the Plymouth Warsaw rivalry. You always talk about how there's certain things you'll never do. Two things that I thought I'd never do is coach under Al Rhodes, and I did that, and it was fantastic. And there's a lot of Rhodes stuff. Gracyn will get a kick out of this. We talk about ripping their face off as an Al Rhodes terminology with his post players, so we use that, and the girls get a kick out of that, just a dramatic effect for them. But yeah, so Al Rhodes is part of that, and then Jim Kessler at Grace is a Hall of Fame coach, so I've been under him. But I would say a majority in the foundation is absolutely Coach Edison, everything that he's kind of instilled in me. And honestly, I could take credit for a lot of the stuff that I've been able to do and whatnot, but I wouldn't know anything and even know how to do any of that if I didn't play for him.
Yeah. So, and to the percentage of the audience that might not resonate with the name Jack Edison, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach.
Yes.
Maybe early 2000s. He won multiple state championships. I most popularly coached Scott Skiles, obviously Kevin Stuckmeyer also. But you can see a lot. You can see a lot of the. You can see a lot of the Jack Edison kind of pack line switching principles in Center Grove, and so Gracyn, I'll throw it to you. You know me probably even better than Kevin does, but I'm a junkie for film, and it seems like you guys use the terminology Center Grove way. It seems like the Center Grove way defensively is every time you watch Center Grove play, it seems like it's a masterclass in how to play defense off of the basketball. It seems like you guys always have, especially after the ball is entered to the wing, it seems like you always have two people playing man. The other three people are playing zone. You guys fan out the shooters very well. Gracyn, from a player perspective, playing for a coach that's sitting next to you, can you talk about the attention and the detail that you guys have day to day on the defensive end? Because you guys gave up 29 points to Bloomington South last night. That's not the first time you've held a good basketball team way below their season average. Can you just talk about the attention that you guys put on the defensive side and how maybe difficult that was for you to really learn that Center Grove way?
Yeah, coming in, I was extremely frustrated with the defense. Coming off of from Munster, it's just 5 out. It's an extremely versatile defense. It took me a solid couple months of just reworking. It's jumping to the ball, it's moving, it's seeing, and just from a player perspective. But it's one of those things that once you get it, you really get it. And I think that because we all get it, that's why the defense looks so good. It looks so clean. And even those mistakes that like only we'll see, they look perfect to the audience because it just covers your tracks, and it's just a really good defense.
Well, it seems like also it puts you can't get to your spot off the bounce, really, against Center Grove. I mean, you guys congest the middle so much, you play off the ball so aggressively because you guys switch. And so it is really difficult to get from an offensive perspective playing against you. It seems like it's difficult to get the right person taking shots. What I was interested in last night is you're matched up on Julie at the beginning of a possession, but through switches, you might be guarding 3 or 4 different people throughout. Are there little different intricacies maybe that you put into the game plan last night when you play somebody of the talent of a Violet Hall or a Julia Lashley? Or is this just, we are going to do what we do defensively and you're not going to be able to score against us? Which is more true, Gracyn?
I think we're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to try to play through our defense. I think everyone on the team can play our defense just as well as I could play on Julia or Hannah could play on Julia. I think everyone has that defensive prowess, and that really shows.
Kevin, brag on your defense. And I'll frame the question this way. If anybody didn't stream the game last night and just got on social media and saw that you guys won, what was it, 33-29?
Yeah.
One might say, oh, what a grimy, ugly, boring basketball game, no offense and blah, blah, blah. But like, I mean, we're talking about defense through the first couple of questions. Like, do you wake up this morning being like, that was beautiful? Like, is that the way that you wanted to play last night? And do you wake up like super happy as a coach to say, hey, we held Bloomington South to 29? Or do you wake up with like, hey, we need to be much more efficient on the offensive end? Like, we can't do this against, say, a Pike or a Brownsburg or maybe a better offensive unit?
I mean, the answer is yes. I mean, obviously, defensively, you have to keep yourself in the game. I asked the girls last night, is it fun to win 33-30? And they looked at me really funny. And I said, I mean, it's just fun to win. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'd love to win 70-68. I'll win 33-30. I think Gracyn's the same way, and a lot of us have just bought into that. We weren't very good on the defensive end, or on the offensive end, sorry. And that's a tribute to Bloomington South. They're right up there as a quality defensive team. It was 33-30. I think I've gotten this question a lot. Do you guys hold the ball? Like you said, people just turn on 33-30. I looked at our points per possession. They were lower than normal, but they weren't as low as some games. In Bloomington South's points per possession against us weren't as low as some teams are. Here's the problem. Bloomington South runs their stuff so well.
Yeah.
We could have gotten up in the passing lane and really gotten impatient. But as soon as we do that, now there's cracks in it and you play to their advantage. So we pick our spots to pressure, keep the ball where it needs to be, force them out of what they want to do. But they're so good with the ball that if you look at the huddle tracker, you see Bloomington South's possessions are way longer than they are in normal games because they couldn't get in the lane. They couldn't get open shots. Credit to our girls, and hopefully we're playing defense like we should, but they didn't turn the ball over either. And then you go to our end, and Gracyn's got 3-4 people around her. We were not very good offensively last night. We got to continue to grow offensively, and we have to continue to have answers to what people give us. We look at it, and we're going to have to be able to score the basketball when we need to score the basketball, and we need to find ways to do that off of Gracyn. And Gracyn's going to have to learn the missed basketball treatment is upon her now, and she's got to adjust to that, and our other players have to adjust to that. So obviously there's work to be done. So the answer is yes, because I'm still not even completely satisfied with our defense, but that's just a coach talking, you know what I mean? Because I know the goals that she has and her teammates have, and I'd be letting them down if I get content. You're only as good as your next game out, and our schedule and the tournament run that we would have to go on through the people that we would have to go through. The margin for error is razor thin, so you have to be great on the defensive end and you have to be efficient on the offensive end. The nice part is we want to win, and we want to find ways to win, just like we talked about at the beginning. And if you can guard and you can put yourself in position, then when you have your off night, you can sneak one out. And that's our whole goal. Every time we step out on the floor, we want to put ourselves into position and just see what happens from there.
Yeah. And for those that didn't see the game, I mean, I think Bloomington South jumped out 9-0 in that game. And Larry does a really good job in coaching the pack line and off the ball defense himself. In fact, you could argue that it was a masterclass in both ways, in both sides. If you like defensive basketball, that was the game to see. I was sitting next to Terry Morin, head coach at Indiana women's basketball head coach last night. And in the first half, she made a comment about the length of possessions. It's very interesting that you commented on that also. Another highly established coach sitting next to me talking about the same thing. Can I just ask, just kind of out of the blue and for our own, we talked about it on this show quite a bit, but what is your thought on the shot clock, Kevin?
I get asked that all the time. Shot clock would be great for us because we wouldn't have to rebound it as much. So we wouldn't have to give up that defensive rebound because I think the shot clock, people have to be careful of the shot clock because you see the shot clock come in and then you have to run quick possessions and get a shot off. So the ball's in the wrong person's hands at times to do that. And you have to shoot it quick. So the efficiency of basketball can actually go down. The possessions go up, points per possession can go down. I don't think that would hurt us. I think that would be okay for us defensively just because we wouldn't have to play defense as long. You watch our games. Last night's not a fair comparison because Bloomington South was so great defensively. So we had to be longer on the offensive end. But you watch our games, maybe once a quarter we're probably going over the shot clock. But most of the time we want to get the best shot possible. And if we can get that in transition, obviously with Gracyn sitting next to me, if we can get her the ball with space, that's what we want to do. Our girls just hate to lose so much, like we talked about. They're going to take the right shot and they're going to maybe make the extra pass so that can make a possession a little bit longer at times. But we also pride ourselves in hopefully not turning the ball over as well. So that's going to lengthen possession at times on the offensive end. Most time you watch our films and it's that defensive end, that possession is long. And then when you add us against a Bloomington South or you get us in a tournament type feel when other teams are really trying to take stuff away even more, then it gets long on both ends.
Gracyn, speaking of you, Coach and I talked after that Brownsburg game, just how your game has kind of evolved and the way that you see the game has changed and it's a lot more polished, I think was the term that Kevin used. How did you get to this point? Like, how do you grow and expand your knowledge of the game?
I think just throughout my high school career, I think transferring really helped blossom me into the player I am today. All respect to Munster, to Coach Williams. He was an amazing coach. I have so much respect for them and his program. But I think for me personally, I think coming to a bigger school with a more established program really helped me to be able to learn like that college play level, that just type of style of play. And I think that with that comes with like seeing the game different, as you said.
Kevin, we talked about, and Scott Shane too mentioned it, just how Gracyn used to be kind of like a bull in the china shop, get downhill, get to the basket. And then you mentioned now we're really seeing the three levels of scoring and the different ways that you can attack and hurt teams. Has this been like an immediate change her senior year, or could you kind of see the building blocks of this coming even down the stretch last season?
I mean, anybody that watches Gracyn Gilliard as a 8th grader, a 6th grader, a freshman, a senior knows that she has it. She has the it factor and she has the ability to play basketball at a high level. She was just, not as polished. So the goal was to coach her hard when she came in, coach her how she wanted to be coached. And like I said, I'd be doing her a disservice if I didn't push her to become the player that she wants to become so that she can reach goals currently at the high school level, individually and as a team. But as she goes beyond us and pushing her to get to that point, getting her out of her comfort zone, and just really teaching her maybe how to see the whole game situationally, slowing her down a little bit to read the game a little bit. She could score at all 3 levels before she got to us. It was just a matter of being able to read that and play through different scenarios. And it was there. It was just pulling it out. And we're in an instant gratification society. And it just doesn't come that way. And you see that at the pro level, at the college level, whether it's men's, women's, football, whatever. People need to be patient. And just credit to her of her hunger and her humility has pushed her to be able to get to where she wants to get. And I think she'd be the first one to tell you that she still has a lot of room to grow, even in the short period of time that we have left, if she wants to accomplish her goals. And I think she took a big step tonight doing that, and her teammates took a big step tonight doing that, of constantly refining and just getting that 1 degree better as you go. But she's had it. She's had the it factor. It's just a matter of being able to read the game and change things slightly, and then just putting it all together. And she's done a fabulous job doing that.
Gracyn, you mentioned Coach Williams, and I remember us talking about him at the beginning of the season and just how special your guys' relationship is. So when you come to Center Grove and you get a coach like Kevin who's kind of pushing you and isn't afraid to, I would assume, push your buttons a little bit just to try and draw the best out of you, is that easy to accept as a player? Like, is it immediate understanding, like, okay, he's trying to get me better, or does that take some getting used to?
I think it definitely took some getting used to. I think overall, like, I always knew that he wanted what was best for me, what was best for the program, and like you can see how much he cares about us, like through everything he does. And I think the tough love, like, has really honestly helped me to be that much better.
You guys used the quote earlier, Center Grove player. Kevin, I actually think that you were the one that used it, kind of a quote unquote Center Grove player. Just real quick before we get into the Gracyn, what does that mean to you to be a Center Grove player? I mean, you heard your coach talk about it. You're obviously one now. What's that mean to you?
I think a Center Grove player is less about the stat sheet and it's more about the heart that you have when you play the game. It's about the attention to detail on defense and on offense. And it's about running what you need to run, not running what you want to run because of personal things. It's being a team player and incorporating everything that we do here in practice, everything we work on. It's being that team player and doing what needs to be done to win, not for your personal gain.
Well, you talk about how it's not about the stat sheet, but your points per game average has increased from last year. It's almost as high as it was at Munster. You're now shooting 42% from the 3-point line, which is the one metric that I think everybody would say that makes this kid what I've called you on this show about. I've called you this twice now. I think the toughest individual defensive assignment in any basketball game in the IHSAA this year. Like, you're impossible to guard. So, Kevin, I remember I'll digress for a little bit. Like, I remember where I was when the rumor started to break when Gracyn was going to transfer to Center Grove. I was actually with Lily Bischoff's dad, and I think he was like texting you. And then it was like, yeah, but Grayson's not a Center Grove player and all of those things, right? And now we see the culmination of that after a couple of years of working under you and working in the system and working with kids like McKenzie and Lily last year and things like that. She looks every bit of a Center Grove player. What's your response to somebody that said maybe a couple of years ago, I don't know if that's going to like fit with Kevin? It doesn't seem like Kevin's thing. You heard it. I know you don't care, but you heard that stuff. What's your response to that stuff?
Well, I'll go a few years before that. I think it was maybe my first or second year at Center Grove. And Gracyn was a 5th or 6th grader in our camp. And I mean, she stood out from the very get-go, but not because she was the best basketball player in the gym as a 5th or 6th grader. She stood out because she was, if not the best person, no one was a better person and teammate than her. I remember she could score anytime she wanted in any little basketball drill at our camp. And obviously that catches a varsity coach's attention. But then you see her with the girl that is just a camper, just shows up, mom, dad sent her to camp, maybe for babysitting. And Gracyn's over there making sure that girl's having the best time of her life at that camp, making sure that girl scores it. And then the next day, I don't know who it was, somebody that's connected to her said, "Hey, did Gracyn give you the bad news?" I said, "No." I said, "What?" She's moving up north to the region. And I'm from Plymouth. So I said, "Where?" And they said, "To Munster." And I said, "Oh, that's a bummer. Good program, but that's going to be a bummer because in about 3 or 4 years, she's going to be a really great basketball player." But Center Grove, we can put labels on anything. We just want great people. We want great teammates. We want great competitors. We want people that want to do it for the right reasons. And we just want people that are going to overachieve and have the approach to it to do it to the best of our ability. And the process will take care of itself. If that's a win, fantastic. If that's scoring 30 in a game, fantastic. But we just want to do it as a team because that's what basketball is. And Gracyn's been the epitome of that, even to the fact that we just want her to overachieve. And overachieving means go get 30 tonight instead of 25. Let's do it. And she needs to understand that sometimes she has to go score it. And that's part of it. And my job is to overachieve as a coach and find enough answers for her when she sees certain defenses or her teammates see certain defenses to not only have the answers, but to develop the habits and the ability for them. It's great if I can see it from the sideline, but if they haven't had it instilled and be able to do it themselves, I joke with them in the summer all the time that I just want to sit over there and cross my legs because they can go do it and they don't need me. That's the goal we're getting to, and we're pretty far along in that regard. And they do a phenomenal job of that. So I just kind of chuckle, like you said, you control what you can control, but whatever the term that I throw out, Center Grove player, we want a Gracyn Gilliard type player is what I will say once she leaves. We want a Haenchen type player once she leaves. And it's just a tribute to her legacy, the Lily Bischoffs, the Adriana's, the Aubrey Bookers, the Cass Hardens, you name them down the list. They've just bought into it and their legacy shines through. So people come through and watch how they do it and they just want to become a part of it. So that's all we can ask for.
You mentioned Gracyn being a great teammate, and I can personally attest to that. I've witnessed it firsthand. Everyone loves playing with her. Gracyn, I think because you're such a good teammate, you would be the first to admit that you can't have the Miss Basketball candidacy and great year that you're having without your teammates. And it's easy to talk about Hannah, and it's easy to talk about McKenzie and Ella and some of those people that, you know, maybe coach kind of uses as security blankets, but you've got some like Lily Tapak. Let's take her, for example. Like, this kid is playing a big time role on an undefeated basketball team on the South Side with a Miss Basketball candidate in the starting lineup. Just talk about her maybe progression and you learning how to play with her. Also maybe utilizing some of your leadership tactics with a freshman, but she's been big for you, I think, because she does a lot of the ball handling. She gets you into your stuff. It allows Kevin to kind of move you around into different spots and get into different sets. But spend some time and talk about Lily Tapak for me, Gracyn.
Yeah, I absolutely love Lilia. I'll completely putting basketball aside, she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life. I think in the summer she's a pretty shy person. Like, when you first meet her, she's not super outgoing. She's not going to come up and talk to you. So I think the leadership side of that was like, I like had to like not reach out, but like I started talking to her, and like as we've gotten to know each other, I think our chemistry on the court has gotten a lot better. She is amazing for the role she was put in. Being a freshman starting varsity in this basketball league at this time is insane, honestly. And I don't think I could do that. And what she does, and the way she facilitates the game, the poise she has, going through games where stretches sometimes she doesn't think she's playing her best, or she doesn't think she's shooting her best, and I keep getting her the ball. I have faith that she's going to knock down the next one, and I think that's huge. The trust that I have in her is amazing for the way that she plays, and the fact that she's a freshman is mind-blowing to me.
And Wagner too. Like, so Haley Wagner, I mean, and she's playing chunk varsity minutes. I know she was a part of the program last year, but I mean, like, in your continuity, man, like you have strong side post first, and then on that first ball reversal, if defense is high side, you guys have that high low, which takes one of the help defenders away and occupies them right there. I mean, she is also really important too. Just talk about what she does, because now you also don't have to guard the 5 also, which is something maybe that you have to do at months.
Which is huge. Yes. No, absolutely. I think the same thing for Haley. She's such a sweet girl on the court. I think almost too sweet. Sometimes we say rip her face off to Haley all the time, because she can go and she can score, but she gets timid and she gets past shy. So I think that when we're running our offense and when we're running our defense, she is such a huge component in the post, and even not in the post. She's really starting to develop her outer game, which is going to be huge for her the next couple of years.
I have one more question, and Kevin, it's for you, and then I'll throw it back to Hank so he can land this thing and write you guys out. I was within earshot, and I say this all the time on this screen, that I always like to sit in earshot of coaches that I respect very much to kind of hear what they say in the huddle and hear what they say without giving away trade secrets. I heard you say at Lawrence North over a holiday tournament last year, let's have a boring possession. Okay. And that stuck with me, and no pun intended there. That stuck with me in the sense that boring has always been such a bad word when it comes to basketball. Okay. You used it as an endearing term for a great offensive possession. Like, where does that come? I mean, is that Jack Edison? Is that Stuckmeyer? Or is that just time and score situations? I mean, you just yelled it. Your kids they had one of those 46-second boring possessions that ends in a layup. And it's just like, oh my, like, this guy's got it locked in. Talk about that and just that comments, and you can take that question and kind of take it in any direction. But I was really astounded when I heard you say it.
Yeah, you got to find ways as a coach to catch their attention. So boring catches your attention. What's boring mean? It probably means 1,000 things. Yeah, it's got some Jack Edison in it. It has some will to win in it. It has some time and score situational basketball in it. But boring is intangibles. Boring is everybody doing their role as they need to. Carrying out a cut that's probably not going to get the ball, but sets up the rotation of the opposing defense where they have to rotate out of it. Boring, setting up your cut and getting even with it. It's an attention to detail thing. It's a Mamba mentality thing. We talk about Mamba mentality, not as much now, but several years ago, when Kobe passed away and that sort of thing, we kind of use that as a thing. But boring comes from Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was the most boring basketball player that you would ever watch. Not necessarily when he played, but everything that he did to prepare himself for the flash that everybody else saw was all the boring stuff and all the stuff that he poured into that when he would get up at 4 a.m. And footwork is boring. Nobody wants to do footwork, but footwork wins. Footwork gets you to a 26 a game score. Setting up cuts and running people into it, and all that attention and detail and all that preparation, and 5 people playing as one, and the efficiency and everything that goes into that is probably 1,000 ways to say boring, and just saying that to catch their attention and to lock them back into the focus and everything that goes into that is what that comes out of. But that's a Mamba mentality. That's Kobe Bryant. Let's be boring like Kobe Bryant, because that's sure a lot of fun and a lot of success and a lot of taking care of the process over the results. A lot of the stats come out of that.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin and Gracyn, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. We really appreciate it. It's great talking to you guys, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you again here in a couple weeks.
Tomorrow.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
having us. Yeah.
I was muted the entire way. Holy shit. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show officially, formally, obviously firing on all cylinders tonight. I am Brian Haenchen. That is Danny Riego. We were at a double overtime game, as I mentioned at the top of the show. That was Center Grove coach Kevin Stuckmeyer, senior Gracyn Gilliard, whom I wrote about today on IndyStar.com. Check out that story. Danny, we've pushed this interview back. We've delayed it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into our next guest. Before you say your first word, it's going to be an interview, buddy. It's going to be Northridge coach Doug Springer, junior Lily Scholl, joining us now. Northridge coming off a nice win tonight, 62-36 over South Bend Adams. They have number 1 Warsaw coming up on Saturday. Lily, I was asking about you in the chat, just casually dropping 28 points, 3 rebounds, 7 steals, and 6 assists tonight. What's up, guys? How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Good. It's great to have you guys on here. I wanted to start, and Danny and I were talking about this through most of the Cathedral game, the Interra Classic, and specifically your guys' run there. Doug, I'll start with you. What did you learn from your team? What did you see from your group across that run that you had there last week?
Yeah, no, thank you guys. First, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. The Interra Classic was really good for our team. By far, it's the best field of teams that we've ever had, and that's really what we wanted to try to do this year, was really try to beef it up, especially for the team that we have this year, and knowing that, that for the conference that runs through Warsaw, sectional. It runs through Warsaw. So we needed to challenge ourselves. We tried to do that with our non-conference, and then with the Interra, we really challenged ourselves playing a Michigan City Marquette, who came in undefeated, then a Greensburg team, then Westfield, and then we got Franklin Central, and we were fortunate to come out of that 3-1 after, and beating a Franklin Central team after we had gotten beat by Westfield that morning, and had to turn around and really, bring our A game after feeling down that we missed the championship game by 2 points in a point differential. But we saw resilience. We saw the ability for our team to flush mistakes. We saw a lot of growth from where we started when we had that first week where we went Chesterton, Homestead, Norwell, Crown Point. We didn't face adversity very well to start the season. And we let that adversity hang on us, and it went from one game to the next. Instead of, in our program, we have a mantra of flush it, when we make mistakes, flush the game, the next game mentality. And we didn't do that very well to start the season. And I thought that we started to see that in December, and then obviously the Interra, I really thought that we handled adversity very well.
Lily, as players, is that something that you guys talk about inside the room, or is it just something that kind of comes more naturally, I guess, as the season comes? Does that make sense? Just how did you guys kind of approach that bounce back mentality that you developed?
No, we talk about it. We analyze after every game in the locker room with the coaches, without the coaches, what we thought we did good, what we thought we didn't. But yeah, it was just a lot of grit, and we had to have more energy just from everyone. So yeah.
Northridge, by the way, at that tournament, as Doug alluded to, they beat Marquette Catholic, beat Greensburg, lost Westfield, bounced back there with a nice win over Franklin Central. Dana, I'll let you have it for a couple.
Well, Lily, before we kind of get into the meat of the interview on the court, there's a lot of people that just think you're just the greatest person from the greatest family. How many brothers and sisters do you have, Lily?
I have 6 siblings, but I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. And they're all many of them athletes, right? And
yeah, I have an older brother. He plays basketball for Northridge, obviously, and then a younger brother who's a freshman, and he plays basketball, but his main sport is football. And then the rest of them play basketball and football. Besides, I have a 3-year-old sister. She doesn't play anything right now, so yeah.
Lily, your brother showed out at a tournament last week, right? I think I saw Kyle Neddenrip. My colleague was writing about your brother.
Yeah, he hit his 1,000, but I missed it. So did my mom. I felt kind of bad for her, but
did they miss it because you had a game?
Yeah, my dad saw it though.
So just staying on that tangent, because I love this. How does that work? How do your parents balance the all the different schedules and all the sports?
They're really good at it. They'll kind of take turns, but yeah, I would say they've gotten really used to it and really good at it, especially since there's so many of us.
So, and I said that we would take it on the floor, and Lily, we'll get back to your role within the Chin offense. But Doug, I wanted to talk to you about Chin, and I think you probably expected this coming. I don't know how much you watch the show, but yeah, I'll open with a compliment here. With my familiarity with some of the Princeton actions and the Chin actions specifically, the way that Northridge runs it is the best version of Chin at the high school level in this state. You guys are very good at it. And for the audience in your minds, you'll have to use your mind's eye on this, but a lot of that stuff is scripted. And a lot of that stuff is, specific calls with how the defense is playing it. But you guys run it from a read and react perspective. Like there was a possession in the Franklin Central basketball game where you guys got to the mesh point on the flare. They denied it, and you guys hit the dive. 2 possessions prior, you hit the dive out of a script. Doug, I'm going to give you the opportunity to just talk about why Chin? When did you fall in love with this? What is your coaching tree? And how did you just kind of start the install and get it to look the way that it looks, which is the best Chin offense in the state of Indiana right now?
Well, I appreciate the compliments with that. So my coaching tree is basically Chris Huppenthal, to believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So when I first started, not going to get into all my background, but I played football at Wabash College, went to law school at VU, and got into coaching because I was bored. right away. And so I started coaching out at Wheeler High School, and then under Phil Masico, and then Tim Powers, who was Chris Huppenthal's main assistant at Highland, took over Wheeler and was there. And that was my mentor. So, I'm a 23-year-old guy, and I'm going to the IBCA clinic with Chris Huppenthal and Tim Powers. And, I was, like Chris Huppenthal was the man in the region. And so that's kind of my coaching tree. And then as I was taking the bar exam, Coach Powers' father had gotten cancer, and so decided to resign. And they didn't want to name me as a head coach because I was too young, but we had a really good player that said she was going to transfer to Valpo. I was at Wheeler High School, and they went ahead and named me interim coach and said we had to win the sectional for me to keep it. We upset a 24-1 Boone Grove team, and the rest is history. I've been coaching. This is my 22nd year as a head coach. When I moved over here to Northridge, my wife took a job. She's an attorney, so she took a job in South Bend. I was still running all of Chris's offense. And so, like that's what I ran at Wheeler, and that's what I knew here. And then after about 2 or 3 years, it just didn't fit with our players. We weren't good. Northridge was horrible. We didn't have the players run his offense. So I fell in love with the Euro ball screen offense. I coached AAU, actually coached against you several times, and you probably don't even realize it. I coached with NBA with Rod Creech. And so we ran Euro ball screen.
Yeah.
And so that's what I implemented here. And we ran that for 10 years and had a lot of success. Prior to the 2020 season, we had no bigs. Like, we graduated all of our bigs. We were a small team, and COVID hit, and I'm like, what are we going to do? We can't run Euro and have success. And so, like everybody else, I started doing all of the different free coaches clinics, and sat in on one on the Princeton offense and fell in love with it. I'm like, this is something that we can do. Once I could envision, once we got going, it could be a player's offense. And I know that's with Princeton, that's tough, because a lot of times Princeton, like you said, it's scripted, and it was for us early on. The first 2 years we ran chin only. Because I tried to go, they told me not to go down the rabbit hole, and we did. We tried to run chin, we tried to run low, we tried to run point, and it was just too much. So then we just went back, let's get chin down. Then we added low, and then we've added point over the last couple of years. We're not running point as much as I would like, but again, part of that is because of who we are in terms of we're letting the players make the calls. We've gotten to the point where, like you said, it's read and react. Based upon where the ball is going, we're going to either be in chin if it goes slot to slot. We're going to try to get into low as much as we can, because we're really good passers. We're really good decision makers, but we do a great job of cutting off the ball. And I think that's really what Lily does very, very well for us, is she sees the play before the play, and she's able to, when we see the back of a defender's head, we're immediate back cut. But then that triggers us into other things. And so we might have a possession where we're chin. Like I know at the holiday tournament in one of the games, we were chin, we were point, we were low, and then scored back out of a throwback into chin that got us into a back cut, all in the same possession. And again, none of that is called from us, which is what we talked to our girls about, that we really wanted to try to get to, is having it. We want a player-led program, and we want a player-led offense.
Well, and you'll love this, because those aren't just words to me. Like, that showed on film, after that mesh point flare, Lily got it in the Franklin Central game, gets the gap drive, kicks to the corner, empties out, and then you got that back cut on that reverse pivot right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Didn't look like it was a call. Like, it didn't look like it was a call. It was in kind of free flow motion. It all very impressive stuff. But Lily, both low and chin, both of them have people that are diving to the baskets. Okay. It's a little bit different for you, because last year, I feel like the majority of the possessions in the film that I watched on Northridge, you were playing the pinch. You're now taking shuffle cut. You're now on, you're taking that flare. talk about maybe compare and contrast maybe last year, your role with Haenchen last year and your role this year. It seems like Coach Springer and Northridge, you get to move around a little bit more and be more of an offensive threat. Hence the 28 tonight, right, Lily?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's been really helpful this year because I'm not like the tallest person anymore. So like getting used to playing a guard like up top with our point guard, and like when she's getting pressured, like passing off to me taking it up, like it was something to get used to, and I'm still like working on my decision making. But like last year I more got the ball down low, which was fine. I'm just like, I feel like Zoe Yater is just better at getting the ball. She's stronger than me. Um, her post moves are just better than mine. So like when we made that switch, I was actually really happy because also on the defensive end, like last year, I struggled with a little bit like getting into foul trouble. So now that I'm not guarding the biggest person, it's kind of helped a little bit. And I think it's really like grown my game. So yeah.
Yeah, and I have a note written down about Jaeger. I think she was obviously personnel is a big thing in being able to move people around, and I think it's a big kind of addition or change in her role, I guess, in this year's basketball team. But you guys also seem to play with a lot of pace, Doug. Like, I almost want to say it's almost Roy Williams Carolina-ish. I mean, you type something in the notes about Mike Neighbors. I'm going to let you kind of run with this, but like Riegseger gets the ball on an outlet. And like when you have like Albers and like you're pitching the basketball, like you're putting your kids now in live ball change of possession in space where they are in 1v1s, like up the floor. That seems to be new also, right, Doug?
Yes and no. I think the newness to it is the fact that we have Riegsecker at point guard. And that's taking nothing away with Ryland Goodwin, who ran the point for us the last 3 years, different types of point guards.
Okay.
So we run Mike Neighbors racing space. And so, we're getting to the locks. We've got Yater, who, just to speak on her real quick, probably the most improved kid in our whole program from last year to this year. Not just as a basketball player, but just as a person, just as understanding her role. She is really, really come into her own, but and I know this is completely outside of this podcast, but she is just really, really matured, and it has helped our team immensely. It allowed us to move Lily out of the pinch, which, honestly, I mean, Lily, we could do some things. We ran a lot more point last year with Lily in the pinch because of that, but it also restricted Lily's ability to do what Lily does well, which is get downhill, take advantage of mismatches. So Zoe has really allowed us to do that. Then you add in an Allie Ambers, who is fully healthy off of an ACL. She tore ACL the end of her freshman year. Honestly, I mean, we as a coaching staff, we were thinking Allie was going to come in and like at midway through her freshman year, like she could be a starter for us as a sophomore. But that injury takes a year to fully recover. And she's such an athlete that last year she was still kind of fighting, trying to get back to that athlete. And then you have a Cam Conley, who's a 36% 3-point shooter. We're running then the locks, and now we've got Lily being our dragon and coming behind the play, and it allows us to do a lot of different actions based upon what the defense is giving us. But again, getting into this race in space with Macy Riegsecker as a point guard, Ryland is going to be last year was going to be a racker the last 2 years. So she's a score first point guard. She's doing very well up at Spring Arbor. With that's why she's playing right away as a freshman. But as a scoring first mentality from the point guard, it does take away some of your pitches. It takes away some of us hitting that rabbit on, after 2 dribbles and pitching up the street or across the street. And we were okay with that the last couple of years because Ryland was a tremendous point guard who was hard to guard. Macy's different. Macy is, I'm going to get our offense into whatever the defense is throwing at us. Macy understands what action we need to run without us as coaches having to say anything. And then you combine that with a Cam Conley, who has the highest IQ of any player that I've probably coached in my 22 years. And the two of them as senior leaders it's player led, and we don't have to do anything, but it's also allowing us to play at a higher rate. Now, Lily will attest to this. We're turning it over more than I like, and they're a little bit frustrated with me constantly reminding them of, hey, we got to be quick, but we can't be in a hurry. We want aggressive turnovers, but we don't want live ball turnovers. And part of it is sometimes we get playing a little bit too fast. And so we're not getting we're not getting a pitch down, or we're coming off of a slice cut, and our angle isn't correct, and we're pitching it to each other a little bit too close. And so now we're getting into some live ball turnovers, but trying to play at a faster pace. Right now we've got a little bit over a 1 point per possession average, which is obviously at the high school level very, very good. And it's allowing us to play at a much faster pace, which benefits who we are this year. It allows Lily to get the ball in space coming downhill, but now the defense, instead of being on her ready to take her away, they've got to get down. They've got to race down. They've got to get into the paint, try to take away our rim. They got to try to get out, cover our 3-pointers. And then we're in such, with our pace and the way that part of it's the way we're practicing, but the girls are so comfortable now immediately getting into whatever action that the ball is triggering without us having to think about it. And so we're playing even faster because of that.
Yeah. I owe Allie Ambers. I owe you an apology. I called you Albers earlier. So sorry about that. But she looks great on film. But Lily, I want to ask you, Coach went, he went deep and started to mention Conley. Okay. Conley is the kid for me that, in addition to you, jumps off the tape. Okay, the kid seems complete. Last year in your postseason action, she drew the Zartman assignment on the defensive side. She's got some size. She's over the line of demarcation at 35% from the 3-point line. I think it's 75% from the free throw line, over 60% from 2. But she's a senior, right? I mean, Lily is a 27. Just talk about her importance to you as a Northridge unit, as a team, and maybe take it into her importance to you.
Yeah, so aside from basketball, she's one of my best friends. She's my sister in Christ. Whenever I have a problem, I just go to her. She's understanding. She gives me biblical knowledge, whatever. But on the court, when she's not on the court, I feel it because she's our leader. When I'm feeling down about a mistake, a turnover, a missed shot, she's there to pick us up, keep leading us. She, Coach Snider said, she knows the right calls. She knows the right place to call. Even if it's not for her, she calls plays for me all the time, and she just knows because she is so experienced. She's so wise. She's probably the highest. Snider said, she has the highest IQ out of a basketball player that I've ever met. So yeah, she's a great teammate, and yeah, I love her to death. So,
Lily, with Doug's offense, is that something that you come up working in as a kid, through the youth ranks when you're playing at Northridge, or when you're coming into high school, you come kind of jumping in cold and learning it on the fly as a freshman?
I would say the main plays chin. They added in point when we were still in middle school, I think my last year. But no, we run chin in middle school, so we got used to that. But all the actions that we add to it comes in high school.
For you, I guess, just how have you kind of seen the offense evolve as a team, and then for you yourself as a player? I was double question right now. Just how have you kind of developed it, and what are you most proud of in your development over the past 3 years?
My freshman year, I was kind of just swimming. I didn't really understand the offense that well. But now, I understand that when the ball goes somewhere, you react where the ball goes. You don't have to call it out, which is why we also play super fast, because wherever the ball goes, that's what triggers the cuts, the passes, the screens. It just all makes sense in my brain. But freshman year, I was really struggling just remembering all of the stuff, because we have a lot of stuff, but it's easy to remember because we also have names and phrases for the plays. So yeah.
Doug, I'll ask you, what have you seen from Lily in terms of her development? I mean, the numbers this year speak for themselves. Obviously, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. I mean, it's astounding numbers. What have you seen from that young lady, and what the steps that she's taken?
Lily is a tremendous player, but more importantly, a tremendous teammate. Aside from all of her like stats and all of that, and Lily will tell you this, and Lily and I had a conversation because I coach our kids hard, and we talk about, I talk with every kid. How do you want me to coach you? Here's my expectations, and Lily's like, I just want to win. That's all she wants to do. She just wants to win. And whether that means in the holiday tournament she scores 9 points, but she has 7 rebounds and 7 assists and 6 steals, or tonight we needed her to go score, and she got 28 points tonight. For Lily, it does, like, she could care less about stats. She could care less about accolades. I had some goals for her, and she told me, she's like, no offense, Coach Springer, those don't matter to me. I just want to win. I want our program to win. She wants to experience what other Lady Raiders have been able to experience with cutting down nets and doing that. And that's all that matters to her. I think the accolades and all of that kind of are for fans and us selfish coaches who want to see our players get those, but it honestly does not matter to Lily at all. And which is why I think she is such a stat stuffer. Tonight was, like, I'll be honest, I opened the scorebook, I'm like, Lily had 28.
Yeah.
It's just so quiet, but it just happens in bunches. But again, part of it is because of our whole team is so unselfish. They all just want to win. And our group wants to do whatever it takes to win. And they're starting to get to that point where it doesn't matter. That's the only thing that matters is at the end of the day, did we do enough this day, whether that's practice, whether that's a game, to allow us to have success. And that's all that matters to Lily. Plus, on the basketball court, Lily's such a complete player, complete person off. You heard it earlier, very Christian, and that's what matters to her most. She's extremely grounded. That's because of her family. And so, again, I think that's why the stats don't matter to her, because that's not the most important thing to her in her life.
I assume the Junior Indiana All-Stars was probably one of the goals that you had for Doug coming in.
It is. I'm going to be selfish, and I'm going to vouch for her. I think she is one of the top 18 juniors in the state. And not just, I know sometimes, I've been doing this long enough. We've been fortunate. We've had 2 junior All-Stars here. We've never had an Indiana All-Star. And I know it comes down to scoring points a lot of the time, but what Lily does for a team and a program outside of scoring, you're seeing it with her stats. She's going to get you 7 rebounds a game. She's going to get you 5 steals. She's going to get you 5 or 6 assists. But more importantly, she's going to do whatever it takes for whatever team she's on to have success. And, I think when you're looking at it from that perspective, she's one of the top 18 juniors in the state in this 2027 class. When you put all of her stats together, but not only that, with what we've done with our schedule, who we played, the Homesteads, the Norwells, the Crown Points, and then you throw in our holiday tournament, you throw in the Warsaws. We're playing Snider at the end of the year. Her resume should speak for itself, and I'm going to vouch for my players. I'm going to go all in with our players, and I do think Lily's one of the top 18 juniors in the state.
So, Lily, is that stuff on your mind at all ever? Like, even in the back of your head, just the opportunity for Junior All-Star? Is that something you think about at all?
If I got it, like, it'd be great, but, like, we're mid-season, so I'm not really thinking about that right now.
So where does that mentality come from? Like, has this always come naturally for you? Is it something you think you inherited from siblings, your parents? What's your read on that side?
Well, like I said earlier, like, I'm a Christian and my parents are Christians. Like, they raised me to be humble and, like, God-fearing, and yeah, like, I just try to focus on the present, because my dad always tells me, like, you don't know if you're gonna have tomorrow, so you might as well just do everything that you can today. But yeah, like, we're in the season, we're focused on winning sectionals, moving forward. Like, I'm not thinking about an all-star game really right now. So yeah.
Speaking of sectional, obviously the big the big ones coming up Saturday, probably round 1 of 2 against Warsaw, top ranked team in the state, 1-8 against them since 21. What's there's not an easy way to ask this, I guess, but just what do you view as kind of like the keys to trying to slow down that juggernaut of an offense? And then on the flip side, obviously their defense is no slouch either. What has to work? What do you guys have to do? I guess keys to the game, so to speak, for both of you.
Lily, you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. First and foremost, they are the number 1 team in the state, deservedly so. What they have accomplished this season, being 17-1, but more importantly, what they did at that Hall of Fame tournament was unbelievable. Lenny is a tremendous coach. Him and I are really good friends. We go way, way back. I got the Northridge job because of Lenny Krebs. And so, they're elite. When you have 2 Division I guards, and I'm going to vouch for my own players, but I'm going to vouch for the Warsaw players. Jocelyn Bricker is Miss Basketball. And I know that there's other players that deserve it, but watching her over the last 6 years, 4 in high school, 2 in middle school, Jocelyn Bricker is Miss Basketball. And then you look at what she's done her senior year. I think, right now she is playing at a very, very high level, and Brooke is not far behind. Both of them will be Indiana All-Stars. And so when you talk about Warsaw, obviously you talk about those 2, but they go much, much further than that. You cannot talk about Warsaw being 17-1, ranked number 1, without talking about Lex Neely. She kind of drives them. And she is just, she's Lily. She is Warsaw's Lily Scholl in terms of she's going to do whatever it takes for them to win. That might mean she's got to go score. It might mean that she needs to go defend the best player. It might mean she needs to get assist and get them into their actions that they like to run. That's what Lex does. And so, but then you've got to talk about Reagan Huss, which obviously is one of our former players, an elite shooter. Right now, rebounding the heck out of the basketball, her and Kaiser. And then you throw in Goheen, who comes in and brings in their muscle, and they're a complete package. How do you slow them down? I don't know. I mean, that's what we've been trying as our staff. We've been trying to come up with something. Can you slow them down? Nobody has. I mean, even in their losses or their loss to Jennings County, I mean, they still put up, almost 60 points, and they led the entire game. It was just right there at the end of the fourth quarter where they kind of went out on a scoring drought, which is not who they've been other than that game. We're pretty familiar with them. Our players are very familiar with them. That's one thing that we talk about. I talk about all the time. We have we won a player-led program, and I think Lily will attest to this. With our scouting reports, it's not just the coaches saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing." There's a lot of input from our players. And for Saturday, there has been a lot of input on what we're going to do to try to slow them down. We can't allow them to shoot 50% from 3. That's first and foremost, but that's who they are. And it's not just Brooke and Joss and Neely. I mean, you got Reagan in there, and then Kaiser 75%. I mean, I know she's only 3 for 4, but that's 75% from 3. And so, they shoot the 3 ball at a level that I have never, ever seen at the high school level.
It's remarkable.
It is remarkable. And so, we have to do some things to try to slow that down and try to limit that. But we can't go out of character of who we are. I think that's a little bit of what we've tried in the last couple of years. Maybe have tried to go a little bit out of character of who we are, to try to do something. And that I've been coaching long enough. You can't get out of character. You are who you are at this point. And so we have to go in there and we have to match them. We have to try to match their physicality, their confidence. And, it's going to be tough. They've won 26 games in a row in the Tiger Den. They've won 32 NLC games in a row. That's, almost 5 full years of not losing an NLC game in our conference, which is tough. They were state runners up last year. I mean, so it's daunting, but we're up for it. I mean, we're excited. We're ready. We had to get through tonight. Nothing against, but I put this game on the schedule for a reason 4 years ago because we had too much time to spend on focusing on Warsaw, and it was counterproductive. And so with us getting back into school yesterday, we had to get back into a routine. And so this was, this is the best way, but our kids are ready. They're excited. It's going to be a hell of a game Saturday night.
Lily, Doug talks about how he allows you player-led program, let you guys have input on the game plan. Was that part of your input, was just to kind of try and stick with what you guys know rather than the approach you've had the past couple of years where it's a lot of changes?
Kind of a little bit. We've made a few changes, but I think obviously they're for the good. Like, we think they're going to work. But like this year, I would say, like, compared to last year, I feel a lot more confident in our scouting report, game plan, stuff like that. So yeah.
As an opposing player, what's it like? He mentioned the winning streak. What's it like going into that building to play?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. We're like the underdogs. I'm really excited. So yeah.
Is that one of the best environments you guys encounter over the course of the season?
Yeah.
Minus our home.
Of course. That was implied.
You need to come up and see our new digs. We got a new 4,000 seat arena that we opened up last year. And I mean, it is spectacular, and we filled it a couple times. The boys have filled it. It is unbelievable. So obviously we're pretty partial to our Jayco arena, but the Tiger Den, there's mystique there. I mean, you look at our conference, we've got the Tiger Den, we've got the Cave at Mishawaka. There's a lot of mystique. The Pit at Northwood, just a lot of mystique in our conference. And I don't think our kids understand the venues that they get to play in and some of the history of our conference and who we get to, like, where we get to play, who we get to play. But this group that we have this year, they understand that more so than some of our other teams. And I think a lot of that's because of Cam Conley. I mean, she lets them know. I mean, she's pretty dialed into everything that's going on, and I don't have to worry about anything in the locker room because it's going to be coached like ahead of time of that. And so a lot of the game plan for Saturday night is, like Cam sending notes. Hey, we need to let's try this. Hey, at the 4-minute mark of this film, you see this set that they ran. What if we do this? And so there's not a lot of players that will do that, and Lily does the same. And so that's it. The Tiger Den is special. It really is. As an opposing coach, is it fun going in there? No, but that's what you want from them. But it's fun coaching in that environment.
Yeah. Lily, one more random one before we let you get out of here. With the 6 siblings, who's the best basketball player of the group?
Probably me. No, they're all pretty good. My older brother's, he's pretty good. So yeah. I'm like a little bit jealous because it seems like he's just so tall, so he can just shoot over everyone. But then my freshman brother, like I said, he's so focused on football. He didn't practice basketball at all, and now he's like playing some good minutes on varsity. So it's like, I'm a little bit jealous of you too, but it's fun.
So do you like play your younger brother to build the confidence before you go after the older one, or do you vice versa? So if the older one's like Stephanie all over the place, you can.
I don't really play Brady anymore because I had to make a rule like no dunking, no layups, just shooting. But me and Jake, like last year, I played him a little bit, and he probably want to say that I won, but I know I did at least once. So yeah, and he was like, he's much more athletic than I am, so it's good to like go against him when he's on defense. Like, he's quicker than most girls, so yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lily and Doug, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us. It was great talking with you guys. I have that Fort Wayne Snider game circled there at the end of the season. Hopefully get up there and see you guys in Fort Wayne.
Sounds good. We appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Congrats. And I'll see you Saturday, hopefully at the Tiger Den.
Perfect. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah. Great job, guys.
Take care.
You.
See ya.
Bye.
Doug Springer, Lily Scholl with us. Danny, hey, buddy.
Hey,
we
quick
we
note on
spent
that.
an entire basketball game together talking. We spent
did.
we did the entire half an hour long interview with Senator Grove. Just did another half an hour long interview. Didn't had time for just us.
Yeah, of course.
That was special.
Here's the what to watch Saturday, by the way, on that
Sure.
on the input from the players. Last year,
I love that, by the way.
yes, no, absolutely. I mean, they got to buy into what the game plan is. Like, Warsaw doesn't run a ton of scripted stuff. Like, they've got a circle series that leads into the push down. That's where Zartman gets a lot of her flares and double staggers and things like that. I'm not giving away a trade secret there. I mean, like, Doug could draw it blind right now. Like, every one of those Northridge players could draw it blind. And so they have tried different things. One thing that they did last year was they took Conley and they turned her back to help. And they decided that they were going to take Zartman out of the basketball game. So they took one of their longer, most athletic defenders and chose to match her up on Zartman with no help. That put Bricker in the middle of the floor with an opportunity to attack Riegsecker, and then it was Goodwin, and she was referenced earlier. But that is the what to watch. Like, watch the first 5 possessions and how they match up defensively and where Conley is and how they're going to guard Zartman. Because last year, this was one of the games where Bricker had, I think, double digits in the first quarter, ended up over 30 points, had a really big game. I would be surprised with their head coach in this screen saying that that's Miss Basketball and she's shooting at 50%. I would be surprised if they dedicated Conley with that much attention to taking Zartman away. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of prognosticating, but I do think that they're not going to allow, Neely and Bricker to play on 4-on-4 basketball in the middle of the floor, because this was one of the games where Zartman just went and stood in the corner and was like, go ahead, go play 4-on-4. And they had matchups all over the place that they liked. So that's the big what to watch. And it's not necessarily like, oh, well, what's going to be the effectiveness of Warsaw Circle Series? Are they going to get into their push down? It's going to be the space that Bricker has in just the mundane possessions, and just normal game flow to see how much space she has to kind of operate and who's matched up on her. So I'm anxious to see, because just judging from that interview, I don't think it's going to be Conley on Zartman in face guard. I don't. And so Zartman might have an opportunity. I think she hit 9 threes the other day. Bricker hit like 6 of them, I think, by the way, too. I think like 15 of like 18 from 3. That's not a lie, by the way. I think if you go back and look, like this was the game that I think Bricker had 48 or something like that, and Zartman had like 30 or something like that. So anyways, there's your what to watch.
Damn it, you ended it just as I was pulling up the numbers on
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating match to watch, and it's probably the first of 2, like we alluded to, because they're in the sectional together with the way that the draw works. They'll inevitably see each other on opening night. I'm fascinated to see how it looks. It feels like one where it'd be kind of like Homestead Norwell. It's in Northridge's best interest to keep the game close, but not to win. Give them that false sense of security, so to speak. But on the other hand, I mean, not unlike HSC Noblesville and girls soccer, for instance, where Noblesville had HSC's number for the longest time. A regular season win isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world either when trying to build confidence. But in listening to Lily talk and the way that she talked about that matchup and Doug as well, it doesn't seem like there's necessarily maybe that mental hurdle that I was honestly like curious to hear, read between the lines, see if there's that mental hurdle of, oh, this is the team. But it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem they're lacking for confidence, nor should they be with that skill that they've played. This
is not, to take it to the other side of the ball too. You referenced Warsaw's defense, that little X zone they run. It presents like an odd front. It's actually an even front. There's a lot of different things that they do. I mean, that in and of itself, that defense takes Northridge and Doug Springer out of point series, out of low, out of chin. And from a transition perspective, now you're running back into spots, not back into match. That typically happens faster too. So this is, it's a player's game. I mean, Doug talked about how it's a player-led team. They're going to have a kid that's going to be able to just make plays on the offensive side. It's one of the reasons why I kind of talked about Conley. Of course, Lily can do it, but that's a tall ask to say, hey, Lily, take us into the Tiger Den, go get 30, and let's go beat the number one team that hasn't lost a conference game in 5 years. They have to have some other production. The other thing, though, is if Warsaw does go man, the Jaeger presence does provide some opportunities for maybe Scholl to get some dive action. Like the stuff that they're running, like low and chin, that lifts the defense, okay? Everybody in alignment is above free throw line extended in the Princeton sets. Because of that, there's the front of the rim is open. But Lily was always she was always in pinch post with her heels facing the goal, not her toes. If her toes are facing the goal, I would suspect that a lot of times they're going to dive Lily to the block in favorable matchup, whatever they feel like that favorable matchup is, and try to get that. That's also something to watch too. But that zone isn't just effective in the fact that Zartman gets 4 steals a game on it, and it isn't effective from a pace perspective. It's also effective because it takes really good offensive scripted basketball teams like Northridge out of their script.
Fascinating. Speaking of Warsaw, Jocelyn Bricker scored a school record 43 points against Peru over the weekend, 43. And then became the school's all-time leading scorer in the nightcap. The game against Columbia City. Or no, it wasn't Columbia City. She played Columbia City the next night. Either way, Josh coming off a huge weekend, 43 points in one game, school's all-time leading scorer the next. And the kids just playing at an elite level. All of them miss basketball, that side of things. I'm going to dive into that here in the next couple weeks. Jocelyn, spoiler alert, certainly among the front runners. She has a very compelling case. But it's an interesting field. Let's talk about the number one team thing real quickly, Danny, before we talk about the game that we were at tonight. Sure. Warsaw's number one in the coaches. Doug made an argument that he believes they're number one. Where do you fall on it? I have an opinion, but I'm going to save that for after you. I'm going to let you take the bullet first.
Well, okay. I'll answer your question with a question, okay? Had Warsaw not lost to Jennings County in the Hall of Fame, would you view them differently?
Yes, I would. It's a catch-22. Can I just take this and run with it?
Go.
Because that's what I wrote, because it's a fascinating thing, because if Warsaw doesn't lose to Jennings County, I don't think that we're talking about them in the same terms as one of the state's best teams with as much confidence as we are now, because that game undeniably changed the course of their season. It woke some things up. It shakes some things loose. It has them playing a lot better as a team. Like Warsaw at Brownsburg's Thanksgiving versus Warsaw at Christmas at Hall of Fame was night and day. Competition, I think that Jennings County and Evansville Central are comparable. Both have that one go-to score. They have some size, etc. I think it's a pretty apples-to-apples comparison. But just the way that Warsaw was running its stuff, the way that it was defending, the energy, the cohesion, I mean, it's just so much is different. But you can't discount that loss. Like, a loss is a loss in this instance, and it was a loss to Jennings County, a 3A team that Warsaw should have beaten. But they didn't, and that's a credit to Jennings County. So I think, yes, I think we're on the same page here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. They're a wagon. Okay. Yes. They look, Jocelyn Bricker. Let me see here. 52% from 3, 86% from the line, 57% from 2. Just when you think that the 52 is impressive, more than 2 times the amount of attempts with Brooke Zartman, and she's shooting 40% from 3. And everybody knows that Brooke is one of the best catch and release 3-point shooters in the land. So that's with shooting 40%. That's with knowing that's what she's trying to do. Bricker's shooting 52% because you have to give a step, right? She just really only takes threes that she's open for. But Neely is also shooting 42% from 3. He mentioned Reagan Huss. Reagan Huss is shooting 30% from 3. He mentioned the Kaiser thing. Like, their ability to score the basketball. And again, remember, we've talked about this with Warsaw. It's a very metric-based, offensive system, right? Yep. They try to get to 16 points each quarter. They try to get to 65 points because they don't feel like they can lose. The one game they lost, they scored 59 points, right? Like, you can say, like, oh, well, we didn't do things on the defensive side against Ernstis, or we had a bad closeout against Kent in that one possession or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I think you could look back at the offensive inefficiencies in that basketball game, and that's what they want to do. But they are doing this better than at any point in time that they were doing it last year. In scoring the basketball and moving the basketball. The ability for Jocelyn Bricker to just get to her spots has become almost laughable. Like she's all watch a Warsaw game. She's always in the paint, and so the Warsaw's ability to score the basketball against teams that maybe don't have the ability to congest the paint. Okay, look, we just had Stuckmeyer on. Okay, and we talked about Satterfield and the way that they play off of the basketball. I mean, they've got some teams that really like to congest the paint. We'll see what Rod Parker throws at them when Homestead plays them also. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that is Warsaw the best team. I take it from the other standpoint, which is I think if they won that Jennings County game, you're right in everything that you said. Like, I do think they turned their season. I do think they started playing better. But if they were undefeated with wins over Norwell, with wins potentially over Northridge on Saturday, with I can't even remember who they all beat now at this point in time. But with the resume that they have, remember at the beginning of the season, we were talking about how Warsaw and Norwell, those two teams had like the best like strength of record, if you will, to use a college football term, like a strength of record, like their quality wins were the best. This will be another one that if they can beat Northridge in a rivalry game where there's a ton of familiarity, I think we'll say a lot more. I'm not sure that I would want to. I think Warsaw is one of the basketball teams that is most difficult to scheme against because it's very natural for a coach to say, well, we're going to keep Bricker out of the paint. Okay. You got to realize that they got a 40% three-point shooter in Brooke Zartman and a 42% three-point shooter in Alexis Neely. To keep Bricker out of the paint, she's going to need some help. Where does that help come from? They do a really good job of positioning their players to allow, if you're going to help, you're going to bring it off of the wrong person kind of thing. I think they're one of the more difficult teams to scheme against. I said Gracyn Gilliard. I've also said it about Kennedy Holman. Those are individual players that I think are most difficult to scheme against and to guard. Warsaw as an entire collective unit, I think, is a very difficult team to scheme against defensively. And as a coach sitting in this square, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know really what I would do against them. Okay, I guess.
Warsaw averages 26 made field goals a game. They have assists on 16 per game. So 16 assists per game, making 26 field goals per game, which is everything you need to know about them. And then defensively, Brooke Zartman, something I'm going to write about here, probably around the Homestead game. I'm going to do a story on Joss and Brooke, but her improvement defensively has been noticeable this year in particular. Like, maybe it was just because I was paying more attention at the Hall of Fame, but she's really stepped it up defensively and is buying in, and that just adds another element, another wrinkle to that team. It just makes a difference. And I was glad that Doug brought up too when he was running through Warsaw, Alexis Neely, again, wrote about her after the Hall of Fame Classic. Just a kid that buys into doing the little things, and after sneakers, she does the little things that don't show up in the scorebook, and that's still stuff that she does. But now you're starting to see the scoring coming along too, where she's averaging 10 a game plus 5 assists, just a 10th behind Bricker in that category, and then 5 rebounds a game. It is a wagon. Yeah. Getting back to the number one thing, and he's going to hate this, I think it's Pike. I think it's Pike and Keith Hollins.
Okay.
I think that's your number one team. They have a strong record. It's just so stinking deep. I don't think there's a team quite as deep as them in the state. And they can roll lines at you. They're starting to figure out who goes where. So they're a really dangerous one. Homestead is an interesting team in this conversation. They had the loss to Norwell, but they go up to the Entire Classic. They sweep their way through that. They do so in no uncertain terms as well. They're really interesting. Hamilton Southeastern, I think, is on that next little cut right below there. The one that I think has the potential to really make a jump is Lawrence Central, a team that kind of gone under the radar just a little bit since that lost to Roncalli at the Marion County tournament. But I was texting with Janon Lampley earlier tonight. It sounds like they're kind of figuring some things out, getting some pieces into place. So they're going to be right where we always expected Lawrence Central to be. They're going to be fascinating. But It is. It's a really wide open field this year, which is fun.
And I will throw Center Grove in there as well. I think Center Grove
Center
going
Grove.
to Bloomington South last night, and I hate to say this on one singular basketball game, but I do have that much respect for Bloomington South. Like they held them to 30 points, like on the road, and won the foul battle, and were all over the offensive glass, and it was impossible to score against them. And they have Gracyn, who is just she's so difficult to guard and all those things. You also have Center Grove, which is such contrasting style to Warsaw, such contrasting style to Pike, that it just if Center to see how far Center Grove advances, obviously it would need to be downtown to get the matchup against Warsaw or Homestead or whoever comes out of the north, or whether it's even an HSE. But then HSE is, I don't think that's a contrasting style, right? I mean, I think they play very similarly. So, I think we're starting as the holidays have expired, starting to get into, everybody knows who they are. Stuckmeyer actually said it, and Doug actually said it too. You are who you are. You need to be the best version of yourself, and just honestly hope that it's good enough. And then you need something special to be along the way. But I do think that we are whittling down now to less than a handful of teams in the north and less than a handful of teams in the south that are capable enough to navigate the state tournament to get to downtown. And Warsaw is absolutely one of them.
You know who's is interesting out of the south, and a team that we talked about at the very beginning of the season, Floyd Central. I saw them at Wings and Rings. They're an interesting team. They defend the heck out of you.
Yep.
Offensively, they got some weapons there where they can just kind of pick and pop, and before you know it, you're down. I mean, they're playing lower classification teams, Heritage Christian, LaPel, and Connorsville, but those are three great teams right there. Heritage Christian has a chance to win it all into it. I think LaPel does as well. I think that those are two teams that maybe we're going to talk more about as we get closer into sectionals, but I mean, they're really, really talented. And then Connorsville came in as the hottest team, arguably, in the area at the time, coming off some big wins. At blowout win over LaPel, and they held them to a casual 32 points.
Yep.
And before all that, they beat McCutcheon 48-43 to kick off their holiday season. So Floyd Central is one to keep an eye on, and the team that they'll probably have to go to get to semi-state East Central, whom we've talked about before in this show. They're another one where I think they'll maybe fly under the radar a little bit, but they'll be dangerous.
I hopped into an East Central stream not too long ago. Lily Maple actually sat the game out. I did get a text from Kevin saying that she was okay, and she'll be back. You mentioned Floyd Central. I'll add a quick note on them. They're very similarly to the X zone that Warsaw runs. Jerry Hickey's zone is going to take. I mean, they're going to take you out of scheme too, right? And so the game then becomes about spacing, extra passes, skip passes, middle flashes, things like that. Not necessarily. I don't want to sound like too much about plays. That's one of the things that I really like about Warsaw is they don't do it out of script set. Pike does it in script, but because you mentioned their depth, they have so many different, okay, you're going to take that away. Okay, well, we'll do this. We talked about how in the Marion County tournament in the semifinal, they hit a bunch of threes expecting fan out, and then they attack them in the middle of the floor off ball screen
too, just for fun. Yeah. It's insane what he's able to do with that lineup. It's not fair.
It's insane. Yeah. It really is. But Saturday will be one of the tougher tests, I think, for Warsaw in Northridge, and just to kind of bring it back to them, because these rivalry games. I mean, you said it was one of two. Okay, well, Doug now has the opportunity to try something. Okay. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Then now you're heading into the sectional matchup against Warsaw, and you can try something different and something that maybe Warsaw doesn't get the opportunity to play against. So this game is Northridge is already in some ways kind of won a little bit in the sense that they get to see the speed of Warsaw. They get to see what works. They get to see what matchups there are. But I have, when Doug said, I keep going back to this game. When Doug said that he's taking player input, I'd be surprised if the senior Conley didn't walk into Doug Springer's office and be like, I got brick.
Yeah.
We'll
Danny's
see.
going out to put as much bulletin board material in as many different lockers as he can tonight. Couple other 4A teams just to shout out as we continue just bouncing around all over the place before we get to Cathedral, Noblesville. Snider's interesting that they have Cooper back.
Yes.
I mean, what they did over the holiday weekend, splitting with Norwell and Valpo. Ticket to Norwell, which was, I talked to Eric Thornton a little bit. They were a little tired after that because they had a great game with Valparaiso earlier in the day. So the schedule was a little tough, but still, he made the point, and this is something that Eric said before. I mean, this is the only way they get better. And again, that opens a larger conversation about the success factor and why it's good and why it's bad. In this case, kind of bad. Brownsburg's an interesting team. They've come close. I had the stat, but they've come really close against a lot of really good teams. Is the gist of this point that I'm stumbling my way through. It felt like Center Grove was maybe that game where they finally break through, but then the turnovers catch them at the end and it unravels. It just feels like if they can get one against Pike or against Westfield or against Bloomington South, that could be the thing that launches Brownsburg into a big postseason run. I'll have a chance to see Plainfield on Saturday. I'm really interested to see how they are, presumably Saturday, if they make it to the Hendricks County Championship game. Very interested to see how they look after the Hall of Fame Classic. And then Pendleton Heights, a team that I will see on Saturday again against Jay County. They're just kind of humming along, doing their thing. The Columbia City loss was a bummer. Great win for Columbia City, to be clear, 53-52 in overtime, but a bummer because that was setting up for Warsaw Pendleton Heights. And one of Warsaw's weaknesses is they don't have a post. They don't have the size. And I was fascinated to see how they would match up and how they would handle a talent like Ada Hupfer inside. Would you be able to feast? What adjustments would they have to make? What kind of things do they do, to your point, to experiment to see that for when they run into a team like that from the north later in the tournament or the south at any point during the tournament? And yeah.
Snider. You mentioned Snider, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
McKenzie White coming back from injury is a big deal, okay? McKenzie White's a true freshman, one of the best players in the 29 class, sat out earlier in the year, and so when Warsaw got Snider on the road in that win, it was without McKenzie White. McKenzie White now is a space eater inside, does make layups, is physical, is pulling down 6 rebounds a game, is scoring in double digits. A very, very good basketball player that does change the complexion of who they are. Looks like she dropped 20 against. Is this a McKenzie White stat that just came across? Like you dropped 20 against Norwell, and not missing, shooting 89% from the field. Like so, McKenzie White. That's more than Janaea Cooper. Okay, like and I do think that I saw McKenzie when she first came back against Carmel, and she was fine. Okay. But, as you watch more Snider basketball games, this kid is getting more comfortable with varsity basketball. This is a 29 who, again, remember, she hasn't played at this level at varsity basketball quite yet. And so she's starting to get more comfortable now. That I do think that Snider is we'll use the cliche, a very tough out because of the presence of McKenzie White, in addition to how extraordinary Janaea Cooper really is as a basketball prospect.
Yeah. Danny, we went to a basketball game tonight, and that was the main reason why we were late getting on tonight. Noblesville versus Cathedral, a double overtime thriller. A game that you called early on was going to be great. I was a little more skeptical, but my gosh, it delivered. 69-68, double overtime. We had buzzer beaters. We had controversial calls. We had everything you could have asked for in that game. It was phenomenal.
It was. Cathedral is doing what Cathedral did last year. And they've won, is it 10 straight now? 9 straight? It's something like that. We'll call it 9 straight. Okay. 9 straight basketball games. And if you go to John Harrell, look at who they beat. They haven't beat real 4A programs Tonight is no exception. But here's why tonight felt different, okay? It wasn't Anuka and it wasn't Wiggins primarily. Did Anuka and Wiggins make plays throughout that basketball game to affect the outcome? Yes, absolutely, okay? But they had a kid named Babington, okay?
Yes.
Who maybe fair to say has maybe, I don't want to say struggled, but is just learning how athletic and how good she can really be. Made monster plays tonight. I mean, monster plays. So that lob right there that you guys just saw was a set that they ran 2 baseline out of bounds plays before for Caroline Wiggins, which would indicate that that is Caroline Wiggins' play. Caroline Wiggins, to this point in the game, had fouled out on a charge call that Maya Blower drew. And they just ran. That wasn't an ATO. Like Lisa, there was 2 seconds left. Lisa just shouted, we're going to run the same set. Babington hadn't been there. She delivers. The game-winning play was by Maddie Watko, who's a great player. I mean, anybody that knows, like, she's a really, really good basketball player. You'll see the play here that, when, oh no, that's a different play.
No, let's hit a regulation.
So,
I'll get that
but
one.
at the end, in the double overtime game, it was Watko that got the deflection. It was Watko that ran the floor. It was Watko that made the layup. So here's my point. Okay. Like Lisa is starting like she is, banking some equity here with some of these kids. Okay. Like to have the success in a singular basketball game for Babington, to have a singular success for Watko now gives them more options and more ways to win basketball games. But that was a great win from a Cathedral perspective, and they're 9th straight. But I don't want to assure you, but I would hypothesize that most of the time they're winning these games because Anuka and Wiggins are better than that, are good enough to win them that
basketball. Another level this year.
And Anuka hit a monster three in this basketball game in overtime when it looked like, oh, well, maybe Noblesville's just going to get him, because Blower was playing fantastic. Like she was really, really good in this basketball game. Maya was. And I think it was whether it was an and one or a 3 or something like that. But Anuka came down and matched it. And that play right there that you just saw, that was the last play of the game where Maya threw one up at the buzzer. Like that's all they were trying to do is just get her in a downhill, because they got her in a downhill earlier at the end of, it was either regulation or the end of the first overtime. They got her in a downhill like that, and she completely delivered and made a play. I think she shot it right across the lane on a bounce pass and got a little layup that sent it into the next frame. But a great game. I mean, just a great game, like a very entertaining double overtime game. 2, really highly respected coaches that have a lot of familiarity with each other. But it wasn't what you expected. Like, Quigley was on the shot. Like it wasn't like Quigley and Anuka and like it was these other kids, which is to me what made it so unbelievably fascinating. There's the play by Watko, and that's the one that gave him the win.
I love the tip and play because Lisa, I think, literally just motioned tip.
Yeah.
Tipped the kid who tipped it in, which is phenomenal. The last play of regulation, like as it's going, in my mind at least, it's like, oh God, when is Cathedral going to foul? Because they're down at that point. It's like, when are they going to foul? When are they going to have to extend the game? But they just patiently waited it out, and then right at the right moment pounced. And just a brilliant defensive play by Watko. To do it with Wiggins on the bench is a big deal. You mentioned everybody stepping up beyond Precious and Nuka. She still got hers. 21 points for her, 13 for Watko. Caroline Wiggins finished with 12, 11 for Babington, 24 points for Maya Blower. And you mentioned a 3-pointer. I think it was at the start of the second, or at the start of the first overtime. I think it was she hit it.
Might have been.
Yeah. Either way, the moments before that, she missed 2 free throws that could have iced the game for Noblesville.
That's right.
Missed the 2 free throws, comes back and bangs a 3. And honestly, that kind of encapsulates and transitions nicely to the Noblesville side. They were down, I think, 11 of 15 varsity players over the holiday break, with just an absurd collection of injuries, from concussions to ACLs to food poisoning to the flu. Allie Hutchinson re-aggravated a hip injury she suffered. That kid's playing in the post because CeCe Quigley's out. There are concussions. I mean, just anything and everything that could have been thrown at that team, short of COVID. Knock on wood. I apologize, Donna. I may have just spoken that into existence with how their luck is gone. But I mean, it's just like everything was thrown at that team is just crazy. But found a way to go 1-1 over the weekend, and then tonight, I think I made the comment to you. They're just scrappy as heck. Just really, I mean, every rebound, they really miss CeCe inside, but just every rebound crashing the floor, battling. That game felt like, as Cathedral, like we've seen them do this before, where they get down early and they just come roaring back, and before you know it, you're in an insurmountable hole. Felt like maybe that's where we're going to get tonight at some points, but Noblesville did a good job of hanging in there and just kind of grinding away, keeping themselves close within striking distance before pulling ahead and then just turning it into a heavyweight bout. A really fun game. Noblesville, when they're fully healthy, they won't be fully healthy this year, but when they can get a CeCe Quigley back, hopefully Ollie Hutchinson's hip holds up. But tonight didn't really change my opinion of them, I guess, is where I'm trying to go with that.
Quigley was very missed in this game. I mean, Cathedral was all over the glass. Donna's doing a really good job of coaching around the different personnel, though. And I'll cite you an example. Like, everybody knows that she runs the 1-3-1, and that's their staple. And they will push you up in the middle as far as you want to go. And Lisa subscribed to the theory that we got to get the ball in the middle. But the one thing that Wiggins did really well tonight when she was in the middle was she would catch the basketball and turn it on a diagonal immediately. So when the middle is lifted against that 1-3-1 and you can get the ball to the corner, remember, we've talked about this at length. Reagan Wilson has played back there. Maya Blower has played back there, but they had moved Maya to a different spot in the zone. So they have kids. I think Coverdale was down there at some point in time. I mean, they had kids that maybe weren't accustomed to playing it. And with that quick middle diagonal ball reversal, those kids were in 1v1s. Like, and just in space, right? And with back pursuit coming on the diagonal, so you can kind of see who's there. Donna changed that. Like, she put Blower back on the baseline and eliminated that action that was so successful for Cathedral, kind of earlier, kind of throughout the particularly the second half, right? But she's coaching around this personnel really well. But she got a play from Aaliyah McGee tonight. Like, the game looked like it was over. And then Cathedral has a 1-point lead, melting clock, waiting for the foul. And Aaliyah McGee steals the basketball, goes the length of the floor, makes a layup, which set up that what Hank described, which is like, when are they going to foul? When are they going to foul? When are they going to foul? Cathedral had the basketball, Noblesville had the basketball at the end of the second overtime with a 1-point lead and 60 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
The Watco play went through the rim with 2 seconds left. Cathedral guarded without fouling for 50 seconds before they jump. It's absurd. Like, it's absurd. And everybody in Cathedral High School was yelling, foul, 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 foul. And Lisa wasn't yelling foul, foul, foul. She was calling defenders over to jump and double. Maya gets into the middle of the floor, a decision that she probably wants back. But Watco gets the deflection, gets the steal. But that was such a fascinating, just like, I'm going to dig my heels in here and I'm going to try to turn them over and see. She did have a timeout in her pocket. But that was bonkers, like what happened, because the McGee, I felt like that game was over 3 times, and I had to stop myself, be like, this game isn't over.
Yeah,
like, there's no
me
way.
too. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when Watco hit it with 3 seconds left or whatever it was, I think there were 3.9 seconds left. Maya was playing so well. You actually leaned to me, what do you want here? And I said, all you're going to try to do is get Maya in a downhill. You just got to get her on a diagonal, and so she can get downhill, because she can cover that ground. And she got a pretty good look. I think she probably had one more bounce before she hoisted it up. But Donna got exactly what she wanted in that 3 second last possession too. So Donna's doing a great job in kind of managing through what they have to deal with. And that's going to be really good, because the same thing that I said about Babington and Watco and some of those other players on Cathedral, the same could be said about Noblesville, that these are things that these players now can draw back on. So when they get, Morelli up and running and comfortable now, and she becomes more of a part of it, and Quigley comes back, and what is going to be, it's going to change the entire complexion of this basketball team.
Yep. McGee, by the way, off the bench, thrust into the starting lineup due to injuries. Played a great game tonight. A hugely impactful player. On the injury front here, I have the exact count from my interview with Donna. She said we had 11 of our 16 kids were out. We had 2 knees, 2 hips, 2 concussions, an ankle, food poisoning, and the flu. Hutchinson the other day wasn't allowed to do full court things, I think, because of her hip. Like, she tore something in her hip, that kid, and she's playing through it. They had another, I think Nora Veter maybe is still on a minutes restriction. Donna said she has like a note card, basically, of just here's who can play how many minutes, here's who's fully available on that, because it's just so bad. And it's a testament to her as a coach that she's been able to navigate the team through this, get them through this, and to this point. Because, man, that's brutal. And then on the other side, I mean, Lisa and Cathedral, they're going to be a pain in a lot of teams' butts come February, man. Like, that's another team in 3A. It's capable of running into Gamebridge this year. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. The area scene, I think, in the classes beyond 4A is very, very robust, maybe deeper than it even has been in past years.
Yeah. And based on what happened last year, nobody should be surprised with what's happening at Cathedral. Like, this is it's the same thing they did last year. Just they lull you to sleep, and then I mean, wasn't it all the way to the semi-state, right? I mean,
yep, semi-state semis. They lost to Ron
Colley. Man, what a run!
Yeah. It's gonna be great. That's all I got for tonight, Danny. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, are you sure? I mean, only gone an hour and 47 minutes. I know. That's all you got?
Yeah, I know. Well, we had 2 long interviews. Those were 2 of the longest interviews I think we've ever done. Both of them went 30 minutes.
No, and that's my fault, because this is the first time in season 3 where we've had coaches on, and it almost like
it's the first time, but we paired them up with players.
Yeah, no, that was my bad, because I get like, that's what I like. That's what I like. I'm obsessed with. I said this to Stuck off air. I like it when I can watch a basketball game that maybe I don't know everything about, and I can see what their identity is and what they are trying to do. The 2 coaches that we had on tonight, Kevin Stuckmeyer and Doug Springer, you can watch those basketball games and you can see what they work on in practice. It is really a testament to what of install, implementation, and that is a lot of what coaching is. It's not a lot of the whole, like, we had a 30-second timeout and give me the marker and a board and let's draw a play. That's right. Like the true mark of a coach is instilling an identity in who they are, and I think those are 2 coaches that do it as well as any other coaches in the state. So sorry if you hopefully you fast forwarded through my parts, guys.
Jeez Louise.
Get to the real meat with Hank asking questions about stats.
Great questions from me, surely. We thank you all so much for watching. Shout out to the 6 people who made it to the end with us. Shout out. We peaked at we were peaking later in the show with the number of concurrent viewers, so that's good. Everybody watched on the rewatch anyway. Show rundown in the subscription again, or in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're on a quest for 1,000 subscribers on the channel, so do your part and subscribe. Lots of stuff up on IndyStar right now. We have a weekly wrap with some insight on HSE, KK Holman's injuries, the big thing there. Gracyn Gilliard's story went up today. I'm going to have more on awesome game coverage this week. Dana and I will be back on Sunday with our regular weekly wrap show. I'll have a weekly wrap. Going to have some more on Allie Hutchinson and the myriad of hats that she's had to play while also dealing with the hip injury that I mentioned before. What else do I have, Danny? What am I forgetting?
You have an opportunity now because it's your show. Like, you don't want these games on Friday, right? I mean,
duh. Yeah, for God's sake, athletic directors.
Go full screen. You can go full screen for this because
I'm good.
I'm all in.
I did that last time, and for God's sake, the boys are moving all their freaking games off of Friday for the IU game, and it is surprising and that the girls aren't. And I understand scheduling conflicts, and I haven't dug deep into this. I'm not super passionate. I'm doing this for purposes of comedy, but it is surprising that there are so many good games and we're sticking them against the biggest football game in IU history, in state history. I'll go there. What's Super Bowl? This is the biggest football game ever in Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, why? I don't know. And these are good games too that people, myself included, are gonna miss. Westfield Hamilton Heights is one.
Westfield Hamilton Heights is that's the one. Yeah, Westfield Hamilton Heights. Come on, Westfield. But by the way, I don't even know. Like Jenny Smith, is she still the AD over there? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's
one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Jenny.
Well, no. I mean, she doesn't care about Cream and Crimson. It's a Purdue family.
I know. That's what I was.
thinking. That's a Purdue family.
That's going to be a marvelous game. I think you have Guerin and Chittard. That's an interesting game as Chittard kind of continues to build some momentum. Guerin's a scrappy team. You have Franklin Central at Roncalli, the annual cancer game. I think that's a doubleheader, so maybe it's a little hard to move. I don't know, but that's a rivalry game. Claire Lindsay on the girls' side obviously dedicated that game to her dad a few years ago. Cool. A really cool thing that she did for colon cancer awareness that ties in there. But there's just so many good games, and it's just such a pity that because again, I'm selfish and it's all about me, can't attend. So if you could move them to Saturday, move them to Thursday, stagger them through the day, tip the first one off at 11, get me a ride to the next one again. Cause Danny, all about me.
Yep.
So that I can cover them and just stagger them like 11, 2, 5, and 7 on Thursday or Saturday. And that's how we can roll through it. I mean, I think that's fine, but it is, in all seriousness, genuinely surprised that all these boys games have been moved, but the girls games haven't moved either. Maybe it's the point of the season. I don't know.
Well, this became a point. This became a point of us, a talking point for us, because I did get a text saying that Jim Self at HSE moved the boys game at HSE off of Friday night to accommodate the desire to watch the Peach Bowl.
Do the girls play that night? I think the HSE
no,
girls.
The boys.
Oh, that's right.
Jim moved the boys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The girls
listen, I don't know. That's unconfirmed. I'm just, it was on my text. It's not official.
That's good. Nobody's going to watch this deep into the show anyway. It's all for naught. I'll clip it off, put it out there. The girls play Saturday. All right, Danny, I'm tired. I'm going to call that a show. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll talk to you again on Sunday.
Later, man.